Hey everyone, Jesse here for 3Prong Gaming, and in the last episode we finished up all our player movements. So if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and click the video playing in the upper left hand corner and get caught up. Let's go ahead and grab everything here. Let's just go ahead and comment this, call this camera movement. We're going to have a ton of stuff that goes into this particular blueprint, so let's just try to keep things nice and organized. Now, I said in the last episode that we were probably going to start on our main widget, our main user interface, but we're not going to do that. We're going to actually do our custom day, our custom date and time feature. Now, you may or may not have noticed in my introduction when I showed you what we were doing that I actually had a moving sun. It was something that I don't know if I'm going to implement in this or not. I wasn't going to show you guys how to build it because it's not my design, but the guy who did it, link should be on the screen or down below in the description somewhere. Go check that out. It's really awesome. It's totally custom day-night cycle. The sun. Angle of the sun is based not only off your latitude, it's based off of the time of year. It's got polar shifts. It's got all kinds of stuff in it. It is really awesome. Go check that out. Even if you don't implement it in your game, there's a lot to learn in his tutorial series. So go check that out. But I mentioned that partly because what we're going to do with our time and date is based off of what I learned in his tutorial series. So I don't want to take full credit for all that. Let's go ahead and get this started. This is going to be longer than I really anticipated. I thought I was going to breeze through this, but I've already tried to record this once or twice already. And it's going to take a little bit of time. So to try to stay under my 30 minutes, let's get this started. Go ahead and open up your game state, your custom game state. We're going to put our time date in here. If you don't know, game mode, game state, and player state, they're all replicated, meaning that anything you put in here will be automatically updated to any other machines that playing, which is what you need for multiplayer. If it's not a multiplayer, which we're not building a multiplayer right here, it doesn't really matter, but it's always good to stay in those practices where things are replicated. And you can see here it shows in the default class it is replicated. And something like a game time and date, you want all the machines to know. Your player controller is not replicated. That's all based off of just the player. Everyone has their own, and that doesn't get replicated across. So things like player health, stuff like that, you want to put like in player state, so all machines know that your health is low or full or whatever the case may be. All right, so enough with that. We need a ton of variables here. Let's just go ahead and build these variables real quick. Let's go ahead and do, first we need time unit. Go ahead and make it, I'll explain all these variables as we get to them. Go ahead and make it a float. We need another one. Let's call this one, come on now, I clicked it. We need another one, call this clockwork. This one we will call seconds. Make it of type integer. Minutes, hours. Call this one game time. Day, month, and one more says year, and then a game date. All right, let's go ahead and make seconds, minutes, hours, day, month, and year all editable. Your game time, let's go ahead and make it an array. Your game date, let's make it an array. And actually we need another one. Let's go ahead and call this one day tick. It does not need to be an array. Go ahead and compile it so we can set some default values here. Day, we need to default to 1. Same thing with month and year, default to 1 because there is no 0 day, no 0 month, or 0 year. We'll do 1, and the reason why we made these editable in case you want to allow a player to change the date or whatever. But if you want to start on a specific day, year, then you can go ahead and just set the default value to those. For now, I'm just doing 1, 1, 1. And let's see, I believe that's all we need to do for our default values. Time does not matter because 0 will be, right at this point, it's a 24-hour clock, so 0 is going to be midnight. All right. let's jump into this. We need delta seconds. We're going to be using these. Go ahead and grab your time unit. Go ahead and drag and get that in here. Your delta seconds is time based off of your current frame rate. So if your frame rates drop, it's going to be a consistent value. You want to use delta seconds whenever you're trying to figure out something time based. Let's go ahead and divide that. Divide that float. Let's hit that again. I hate how it always defaults to vector divided by float. It drives me nuts. Divide that by time unit. Our time unit, we did not set. We need to set its default value to 1. Now this will change. I'll explain this all as we move along. It will change, but 1 right now will work. So what this does, if you take your delta seconds and divide it by 1, that means every game tick is going to give you a value of 1 equal to 1 real life second. Okay, so delta seconds divided by 1 is 1 second in real life. Now that can slow down. If your frame rates drop, then that won't actually equal a real life second, but it will continue to be constant based off of your frame rate. So, all right, drag off of this. We need to add now float plus float. I hate the vector thing. Go ahead and grab your clockwork. This clockwork is going to keep track of, well, you guessed it, our clock for us. It's going to keep track of all that stuff. Drag off of this. Now we need to divide this, but we need a division, whole, and remainder. We need to make the divisor 24 because there's 24 hours in a day. And let's see. Okay, now we need to take this remainder. And actually, let's just go ahead and drag our clockwork. We need to set it, drag the remainder in here, grab our day tick, drag it out here, set it, and grab the whole, the return value off of that and plug it in there. Now, what this is doing is it's taking this 1 second, it's adding it to itself, the clockwork. Every tick, it's adding it to itself. And then we're dividing it by 24. Now the remainder is going to be any number. It's a whole number all the way up to your divisor, which 24. Once it hits 24, this remainder will return to 0, which is what we want at the end of the day. It'll return to 0. And then the reason why we call this day tick is because for just the 1 tick that this divides it by 24, this will turn to the number 1. This is what we will use during that 1 tick to update our day. All right, and then coincidentally, that'll trickle down to month and year as needed. Now I want to go ahead and just turn this into a function. So let's just go ahead and select all that, right-click it, and collapse to function. Let's go ahead and name this set clockwork. Jump into the function real quick. I want to go ahead and make this a pure function. Just clean this up just a touch like that. Let's change the value, the names of these. Let's call this delta seconds. We need to name this clockwork, and this bottom one we'll name day tick. All right, compile it, save it. Of course, it's going to show it. Yeah, let's go ahead and delete that. Drag it back in. It did that to me before. Drag it. Now plug everything back in like it needs to be. Clockwork and day tick. Clean this up a little bit. All right. Now we should be able to compile it, save it. Now we need to create a new function. Call this one clock. This one won't be a pure. We'll just leave it normal. Go ahead and grab your clockwork. Get that. Now, like I said, this is up to 24. So what we need to do is we need to multiply this. Multiply float times float. Multiply it by 3,600. There is 3,600 seconds in an hour. I'm pretty sure that's yeah, that's got to be what it is. I'm sorry, it's a little early in the morning. My brain's a little fried. Division, whole, and remainder. Now for this, we will divide this by 60. Go ahead and pull out your seconds. We need to set the seconds. Grab the remainder and type floor. We need to make this floor. What the floor does, if you're unfamiliar, is it will take a float, turn it into an integer by rounding down to the nearest whole number. So that will be our seconds. Go ahead and drag off of the return value and type convert. We need to convert it to a float from an integer. Again, we need another division, whole and remainder. Drag off of minutes. Go ahead and set the minutes. Another floor. And plug that in like so. And let's go ahead and hook up our execution pins. I try to keep things as organized as possible. But yeah, time's a little slow right now. Let's go ahead and convert this again to a float. And you guessed it, we need another division, whole and remainder. Again, same process. Let's go ahead and move this up a little bit. And this one, actually on the last one, divide it by 60 again. That will give us our minutes. And then this last one, we will divide it by 24. Okay, we need another floor. And then drag out your hours. Set it and forget it, just like Ron Popeil. I don't know if you know who Ron Popeil is, but set it and forget it. Anybody who's up late at night, I'm sure, has seen his infomercial. And that is essentially it. That will set all our time for us. We got divided by 60. Go ahead and take a look at that really quick. Take a pause break. Okay. Now let's go ahead and set our array. So go ahead and take game time. Put it up here as a set. Drag off of this pin. Let's do make array. Now add 2 more pins. Go ahead and plug in the execution here. Now you could set this up array however you want. I like to keep things consistent. However you do it is up to you, but I like to do lowest to highest, and we'll do the same thing when we do the date. So it'll be seconds, minutes, and then hours. It'll just be easier to remember when you go to call it later. As long as you're consistent with it, it doesn't really matter, so long as you know where everything is at. Okay, and that is it. So that's our array. Let's do one more thing just to test this out. Go ahead and grab your game time, get it, and pull off this get. We need 3 of these, so control W. What am I doing here? Control W. Wasn't holding control down enough, I suppose. Go ahead and plug that in. Plug this in. All right, now we need, first off, we need hours, just like a clock. So that is index value 2, index value 1 for minutes. If you don't know, arrays, like you can see here, are a 0 base number. The first index is 0, 1, and 2. So that's what these numbers correspond to. We want hours, minutes, and seconds. Okay, and let's just build a simple string here. We're already at 13.5 minutes. I made up a little bit of time compared to the last attempt at doing this. Go ahead and to string. We need to convert this to a string from an integer. Go ahead and pull off this and type build string integer. Take this out, pull the second get, put it into the integer. And for the prefix, just do a colon just like you would normally see on a clock. Click that, and then drag off of the return value of the build string and build another string, another integer. Go ahead and plug in the last value here, and again, prefix it with a colon. This is just for testing purposes only, but we want to make sure that it works. We'll end up deleting this at some point soon. Pull off, let's do print string, and then just plug this in. Now it should work once we go back into the event graph. Let's grab our clock, plug it into the execution, like so, compile, save it. Let's check it out. There we go. Now, one thing you'll notice, see how the hours are ticking up so fast. What that is, if you actually time it out right now, you'll realize that 1 hour is equal to 1 second. Okay, so now once it hits 23, it'll actually hit 24. You won't actually see it hit 24. It'll reset itself. 19, 20, 21. But this is our time unit. So there you go. You saw it reset back down. That's off of our time unit variable right here. Okay, so now we know that a value of 1 equals 1 second per hour. So the way to figure out what value you need here depends on how fast you want in real time your full complete day to be. So if using that knowledge of 24 seconds it takes to complete one full day, if you divide that by 60, you get 2.5. So if you change this time unit to 2.5, that means one whole day will take exactly 1 real minute. Okay, so now I want for me, I found, at least for now, I may change it down the road, that I want an entire day cycle for me to take a full hour. Okay, a full real life hour. So taking that knowledge of 2.5 for 1 minute times that by 60, we end up with 150. So if you set your time unit to 150, hit compile, save it, press play, you'll see it count up a little bit slower. Now if we were to sit here and watch this, it would actually take an entire hour to cycle back around and tick the day. That's how you figure that one. Escape, come on now. There we go. That's how you figure that one out. Hopefully you guys got that, understood that. Let me go back in the clock here so you guys can see this. I didn't give you a pause break here. Or did I give you a pause break? Yeah, I gave you a pause break. But there's that. All right, so moving on, we are at 17 minutes now. Let's go ahead and create a new function. Call this one calendar. Hopefully I spelled that right. Let's go ahead and do calendar. We'll go ahead and set our date. This one's a little more complex, but not too bad here. So let's go ahead and take our day, drag it out here, get it, take our day tick as a get. We need to add these two together, plus integer, plug those in, and then take our day, and we need to drag it out here, and we need to set it. Take this. Now every time our day tick reaches 1, it's going to add it to this. This is where we're capturing that day tick. So if this is 0, whenever it calls calendar, if this is 0, then it's not going to increment our day. Okay, so now we need to take our year, pull it out, get it. Take our month, pull it out, and get it. So now from year, drag out and type, this is a built-in function, type day in month. All right, now what this is going to do, this is going to help us for things like leap year, right? It's going to know, it's going to take the month. If it's month 2, it's going to calculate the year. If the year is a leap year, then if you're in that month, which would be February, then it will only have the 28 or 29 days, depending on if it's leap year. So go ahead and pull off of this, off of the day. Let's go ahead and check to see if it's if the day is greater than the return value of this. So if there's 30 days in the month, and that's the other thing it'll keep track of, is if there's 30 or 31 days in the month. So if the day is greater than the days in the month here, we need to run our branch. Oops. Plug that in, plug in our check there. If it is, then what we need to do is we need to take our day and we need to pull it out and set it. We need to set its value to 1 because we want to switch the day back to 1 because we've reached the end of the month. Okay, so now pull out your month here as a get. Since we cycled back around and at the end of the month we want to add it. We want to add 1 to the month so we can increment the month, and then pull out your month as a set. And then take this value and we will set our new month value because we take the month, the current month, add it 1 to it and set it there. Okay, and if it's not, then we just want to cycle through. We need another branch. Let's go ahead and drop it in there. Hold B and click into the graph. If it's not, we just want to continue on And then same thing here, take this. We all want both these branches to run into the same branch. So now take your month as a get. We need to check to see if this is greater than 12, meaning it is the end of the year. If it is, go ahead and plug this in here. It's going to be pretty much the same thing as we did just right there, except for month and year. So now we want to take our month, go ahead and set our month, plug that in here, and return it to a value of 1. We are now back into January. Grab our year as a get, pull off of this, add it, end of the year, so we need to add it 1 to that to increment the year. Pull off, now we need to set the year. Where is it? Set the year. Hook up the execution pins. And that is pretty much it for the calendar. Let's go ahead and drag out the game date as a set. Put that in there. Hook up the false from the branch there so everything continues to flow smoothly. We don't want any dead execution pins. Set it in there. Now we need to, like we did with the time, drag out this, make array. Add 2 more pins. Again, I like to keep mine a little bit organized, so I will do lowest to highest, day, month, year. I live in the United States, so usually when we view our months, let's go ahead and build a string here. Let's go ahead and grab our game date as I explain this. Since I live in the United States, obviously we usually have the month, day, and year. Other parts of the world usually do day, month, year in this order. Oops, I don't want that. Pull off, we need another get. Another get right there. Yeah, sorry, talking and lost track there. All right, pull that in there. So yeah, since I'm in the United States, I want the month first. So let's go ahead and do 1. Then the day, which is 0. And the year, which is 2. And just like we did with the other one, let's go ahead and pull off this. Do toString. Build our string from an integer. Go ahead and plug in the second get into there. Now prefix, I'm going to do a /. Pull off this, build another string. Oops. Come on, spell. Build string from integer. Take our last get, plug it in there. Again, prefix with a /. Pull off of this. Let's do print string. Take this, plug this in, compile, come out here, take our calendar, drop it, and we'll just plug it into the execution like that. And that's why we didn't make these pures, because we do need these to execute. Nothing's going to be drawing from these, so we want those as regular executable functions. Compile, save, and let's go ahead and play. There we go. Let's escape out of here real quick. Let's go back to our time unit. I'm going to set this back to 1 just so it zips. Actually, you know what? I'm probably going to set this to 0.5 just so it's that much faster. Compile, save, play. There we go. Now watch our day increment as soon as it reaches the end of the day at 24 hours. And we'll set this off of a 24-hour clock. This will all be when we do our widget. All right, go ahead and take a second and take a look at this. This is kind of a big one to look at. Okay, now I'll move it forward here a little bit for you to check that out. All right, so now you got that all checked out. We're creeping up on 25 minutes. That's pretty much all we had. The only thing we need to do now is out here in the event begin play. We need to set this up. Like I said, we made these variables in case we wanted to make this user settings. And if that is the case, if you want to be able to start at a different hour, minute, second, day, month, year, we need to compensate for that. So at the event begin play, let's go ahead and get our hours. minutes, and seconds. Throw them out here like so. Now we need to add all these together. Convert to a float. Right, we need 3 of these now. Control W, Control W. And then just plug these in. I'll organize this. This will be all nice and straight when I'm done with it. I'm trying to save time, but it kills me not organized, not keeping things organized. All right, we need to add all these together. Add an extra pin here to the addition. Stop doing that. I hate it when it does that. So finicky. You got to be right on that. All right. Now we need to take our clockwork and we need to pull it out here as a set. Plug in the execution pin. So what that essentially is doing is if we're starting at something other than 000, it's adding all those together to get our initial clockwork setting. Okay. So now we need to come out here and same thing with our day. We need to get our game date and we need to set that. We need to make this an array. Make array. Add 2 pins. And again, just like we did in our build string, is depending on how you want your calendar to present itself, is how you want to... actually, you don't need to do that. Keep everything consistent. Yeah. That's what this is, because we're not printing this out. This is just setting everything up. So that's it. Phew, 26.5 minutes. I was able to keep it under my 30-minute mark. Let's go ahead, since I do have a quick second, let's do this real quick. Let's set our month to 12. Let's ensure that everything works here. Our day to 31. Compile, save it. Let's go ahead and play. Let's make sure it trips over. So now we're December 31st, year number 1. So everything should trip right over and reset as soon as we get to the end of the day. There it goes, 1, 1, and 2. So everything did exactly what it was supposed to do. Escape it. We can go ahead and test for leap year if we really wanted to. Let's see. I think we got a second here. Let's go month. We need to set this to 2. And let's go ahead and do day. There's always at least 28 days in a month. And you could set your default range right here. If you're going to make them user settings, you need to set your defaults. Now day, you'd have to set a maximum of 31. But leap year, let's go ahead and do, technically year 4 wasn't a leap year, but I think it will calculate it as a leap year here. Let's go ahead and click play. Now it's 228. Let's see, it should go to 229 if I am correct. If not, we'll set the year to 2016 because that's our next leap year. 29. Awesome. And then it should, let's give it one more minute here just to make sure that it's going to not hit 30. There we go. All right, then one last test here. Let's go ahead and make that year 3 and day 28. Compile, save, play. Make sure that now it shouldn't hit 29. It should just go straight to March 1st. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do me a favor, go down, hit that like button. Perfect, it worked. Helps me out a ton. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well. Go ahead and check out one of the other videos playing on the screen there. The one on the left should be the previous video to this one. And if I'm ahead of schedule like I plan on being, then you should see the next video link up there. It may not be linked yet because I may not have the video up, but that proves that it is done. Okay, well, until next video, peace.